What's up guys, Cozy back with a brand new video, and today we're talking about something totally different. Now, if you guys didn't know, the Call of Duty Black Ops 4 beta went live just the other day, and this video I want to talk about some things that are positive and some negatives about the beta after me playing it for a solid pretty much 2 days. So this is going to be my opinion only. I mean, I've played this quite a bit. I'm maxed out in the beta. I have everything. I've got to try out almost every single gun. So I know pretty much what this beta is all about and how this game plays. So in the background I have some gameplay of the new game mode Control that is playable in the beta. This game mode is actually a lot of fun, and I think this is where Call of Duty Black Ops 4 shines the most, just because it's such a fun game mode and the specialists just work so well for this game mode. It's like they were made for it. With that being said, guys, let's jump right into the video. Now, first and foremost, the beta feels super fun. It feels like a total breath of fresh air. It feels totally different from Fortnite, totally different than any other Call of Duty game before this, and I think that's absolutely great. It feels much more competitive than a regular Call of Duty game, which I personally love because I'm a total fan of competitive play in any type of game. So for them to have this Control game mode that just works so well in a competitive environment, it's so much fun to play. Something that's actually very surprising for me playing the beta for the past little while is the game feels very fast for being a boots on the ground game. Now, I'll make sense of this in a second. Now, Black Ops 3 and Advanced Warfare and Infinite Warfare were these advanced movement games that you could boost, jump around, and slide and do pretty much whatever you wanted. And it made for a really fast gameplay game, especially mixed with a lot of the maps were medium size, so you could get around the map very quickly. You get from one side of the map to the other very quickly, which made the game feel insanely fast. You could get back in the fight very fast, which is one of the things that I really enjoyed most about advanced movement games. So for this game to come in with boots on the ground and still feel just as fast, if not even faster paced than some of these advanced movement games, is really good, because that's a type of gameplay that I really enjoy in Call of Duty, moving around the map fast and getting from point A to point B as quickly as possible, and I think sliding does that very well. It's probably going to get nerfed in the near future. They've talked about it on their Twitter, but it just, for right now, I think it feels really good. It feels like it's a great pace, and it works really well in this environment, especially considering these maps are pretty small for a Call of Duty map. Now, arguably one of the biggest and most important things in any Call of Duty game is the weapons. You have to make sure the weapons are fun, balanced, and are all around viable in most situations. Like, you can't be thinking to yourself, just because I'm in this type of situation, I'm not going to win this gunfight, which isn't the case in this game. All the guns are very fun to use. I mean, we'll get into this a little bit later, but the time to kill is very slow in this game, meaning that sometimes you feel like you're getting melted very fast, especially by submachine guns, which we will also get into later in the video. But there's also times where you're feeling like this gun is actually really fun to use. It just feels like I'm melting with it, or it feels like I'm hitting every bullet. It's super accurate. I can move quickly with it. There's just so many things, little quirks for every gun that just make it really fun to use. For example, the ICR shoots really straight. It is barely any recoil, and it hits pretty hard too, so it's one of my favorite ARs to use at the moment. And then the SMGs, obviously we'll talk about later, are just very broken at the moment. So the guns are still very fun to use, but the time to kill is a little bit slower, and we'll get into that a little bit later in the video. Another thing that's really fun about the Black Ops 4 beta is the specialists are super fun to use. Now, there's some returning from Black Ops 3, which I'm actually totally okay with, because I think they made them either better or more balanced, which is great. For example, Purifier, you don't just touch the guy with the flame and they die. You actually kind of have to hit him for a little bit longer before he actually dies, which I think is great. You're not getting melted by it as fast, but I think there is some balancing that still needs to be done there, because, for example, there's a few abilities or items that specialists have that I feel are just pretty overpowered. For example, the shock drone that the Prophet has, if you don't know how to get out of it very quickly and kind of counter it, you're going to be standing there for a few seconds and you're pretty much just a free kill. If you're on a streak and you get shock drone and the guy is right there, you're pretty much dead. So there's a couple things like that that just make the game a little bit less balanced in the long run, but nonetheless the specialists are super fun to use. Like, my favorite right now is Ruin with his grapple gun, because I love just flying across the map on it. I know he's pretty easy to hit still while he's flying, but nonetheless the thing is so fun to use to grapple on the wall or grapple into a window and just totally take the opponents by surprise. It's super fun. Another great thing about the Black Ops 4 beta, and I touched on this a little bit earlier, is the control game mode. This game mode is where Black Ops 4 truly excels. Now, I'm super excited for them to put Search and Destroy into the beta, because that, I think, is going to be a lot of fun. I think the maps are going to work great for Search and Destroy. But right now, control is just where I'm spending most of my time, because it's just very competitive. Your team has to be relatively decent for your team to actually do well in the game, which is great. It's pretty tough to carry, and it's especially tough, and it feels really good when you can capture a zone because the other team is just totally playing inside the zone. That's just a great feeling. You can see I'm playing control gameplay in the back here, and this was just a super cool gameplay. I think I dropped like 60 kills in this game. I went like 60 and 20 or something like that. And I love this game mode just for the very fact that it just feels competitive. You kind of have to play your life and play smart, because your team only has a certain amount of lives, and once you run out of lives, it pretty much plays like Search and Destroy, where you're playing the kill or you're playing very slow because you don't want to die, right? So it just makes the game feel so much more competitive, which I absolutely love. This game mode is just, if you haven't tried it out in the beta yet, I 100% suggest it, because you're going to have a great time. The specialists are just great in this game mode, especially the Torque specialist, where he can put down his barriers and his barbed wire. It just makes it so much fun. It makes it so much more difficult to break into zones, or it makes it difficult for the opposing team if you're on defense. So nonetheless, control is a great game mode, and if you have not tried it in the Black Ops 4 beta yet, I 100% recommend it. It is so much fun. And one of the most important things that they've put into this beta is the maps and their color. Now, the one thing that I really did not like about Call of Duty World War II, and partially the reason why I stopped playing it, is the maps were just not fun. They didn't look great, and they just all in all didn't play that well, and the colors were just brown and gray, and they were just not great to look at for a long amount of time. So I stopped playing that game probably end of December, early January, and I went to Fortnite, where the map is just so colorful, everything's crazy and fun. And Call of Duty World War II just did not have that, and that's why I got put off that game. And for color and great maps to come back in this game, Black Ops 4, is such a great thing to see, because it makes me play the game a lot longer. I can look at the maps a lot longer. The maps look great. The maps even feel better and feel like they play better just because there's so much color in the map. Like Treyarch, when they were making these maps, 100% color was one of their main priorities, because if they knew that if they didn't put color into these maps, people were going to get bored of the maps quickly, and they weren't going to want to play the game overall anymore. So I'm super glad that these maps are just, especially Seatown, this map right here, you can see in this gameplay, like this room is just so much color, like red and yellow, and it just looks so great. So that's one of the main things that I really like about this beta, is it totally makes me feel for Call of Duty again. I love playing the game, or at least I love playing Black Ops 4 at this point, just because the maps look so good, and that's something Treyarch's done really well over the entire time they've been making Call of Duty games, especially starting in Black Ops 1 especially, was the maps were very colorful and played really, really well, which is great. Now this kind of moves into some cons that are in the Black Ops 4 beta, and I have talked a lot about pros in the past few minutes, but there are its fair share of cons. Now, the first thing, and since I was just talking about map color and how great I think the maps are, there are some things on the maps that just aren't that great. And for the first thing is they feel really, really tight and close quarters. And something that I always thought Treyarch did really, really well, especially in Black Ops 3, was making the maps a medium size that kind of had all types of lines of sight, all types of close quarters. Like, take a map like Evac, for example, on Black Ops 3. There's a big middle area, there's big lines of sight, long lines of sight on both sides of the map, but in the center there's all these tight corridors and little rooms and stuff like that, where if you're using an SMG and there's players pushing you in there, there's a good chance you're going to get most of those kills, because it's up close, it's personal, you're in the team's face. And that's what I really liked about Black Ops 3, is the maps were all really, really good maps, and they played very, very well for the environment that you were put in, and whatever gun you picked, you could usually do well. But in the Black Ops 4 beta, the maps feel very tight. There's a lot of small, close quarters corridors, which make you feel like you kind of have to use a submachine gun, and that is where submachine guns in this game are just absolutely unreal. Like, if you're close in a close range gunfight with someone, which you mostly are in this game, you're going to win that gunfight. I mean, almost everyone is running submachine guns right now, and it sucks because I really like the assault rifles in this game. Like the Rampart is like such a cool SMG to use. I mean, such a cool assault rifle to use that it makes the game feel a lot more different and diverse and more fun. But submachine guns, if you're not using a submachine gun, you feel like you're just not doing as well as you could be because you're using a submachine gun or an AR or an LMG or a sniper. Like the submachine guns need to be toned down a little bit, and Treyarch has said this on their Twitter, and I think they're going to be patching them probably during the beta period, just because the MX9 or whatever it's called, the gun you see me using in this gameplay, is just absolutely unreal. It melts, it has almost no recoil, it has range, like you can kill almost anyone with this gun. So I think it needs to be fixed. I mean, the beta is just, it's so much fun that I really, at this point, don't care if I'm doing absolutely unreal. I mean, I always like to play well, but I mean, this beta is just so much fun that I'm trying out new guns and I'm seeing what works and what guns are good and which ones probably need to be buffed a little bit. But overall, the SMGs are just so strong at this point that there's really nothing that can beat them, and I know they're probably going to get patched. So I mean, for now, we have to kind of deal with them, but in the near future, I think they're going to be a lot more balanced, and you're going to be able to pick kind of which gun you want to use, and use that gun to your advantage in whatever gunfight you're in. Another kind of disadvantage, and I would think this is the biggest deal in the Black Ops 4 beta so far, is the time to kill is so painfully slow. Now, even though SMGs seem to melt, you still have to hit guys 6 or 7 times with an SMG for them to even die. Like, you have to shoot until you know you have that kill, because it can sometimes take like half a clip just to kill someone, which is absolutely crazy. Now, partially, I think this is because you just don't have as much damage done on every single weapon. The guns just don't do as much damage. Or it's the fact that you have 150 health by default in this game. Now, I think if they were going to make this game better, I think they should bump the health down to maybe 125, 120, maybe even 100, just because the time to kill right now is so slow that you have to hit guys like 6 or 7 times to be able to kill them. Like Black Ops 3's time to kill was relatively fast, but still felt like you could get out of a gunfight fast enough to the point where you could stay alive. So I think it was in a perfect position, the Black Ops 3 time to kill. And this game is just so much slower. So in this game, if they made it so it took maybe 1 or 2 less bullets to kill someone than it does right now, I think that'd be the perfect spot, just because right now it just feels a little bit too slow, which sucks because the game is so much fun right now where it is, that I think this could make it even better. And I feel like this might even get fixed in the beta, because if they're doing a change like that where they were pretty set on 150 health from the start and then they changed it to like say 125, I feel like that's something they would want to beta test and see how their player base felt. And I really hope they end up doing that sometime in the beta period, because I think it would make the game a lot better. And the final point, and this is something that's been totally debated on, I've seen it on Twitter, everyone is talking about this, the body armor ability, or the body armor equipment, is just very overpowered. Now, I came from playing Modern Warfare Remastered instead of Infinite Warfare, so I was pretty used to Juggernaut, and it was really annoying back then. And I mean, even if I go back and play that game, it's still pretty annoying, but I kind of got used to it after a while, and that's because usually only the first or second bullet would take the Juggernaut bullet, and then the rest would be like their health, and it'd be pretty much even. It'd be like 2 or 3 bullets after that to kill them, so they'd be able to take usually an extra bullet. But in this game, the body armor can take like 4 bullets before it's knocked off, and then they still have 150 health on top of that for you to try and knock off. It just makes it so crazy. And I know there's the armor piercing rounds, but still, the fact that you're trading off an attachment on your weapon, a slot on your weapon that you could use something else, just so you don't have to deal with body armor or don't have to deal with it as much, just isn't the best in my opinion. And that's where I think bumping the health down just a little bit could come into play, because I think it would fix this issue where body armor is just, it feels too strong because you're already shooting guys like 7 times to kill them anyways, and the fact that body armor is making it like 9 bullets to kill someone, especially like an SMG, it feels like you're not melting as fast as you should be. You're hitting the guys way too many times, and I think that's an issue. And they said this on their Twitter. They're taking a few days, or they're just keeping an eye on it. They're seeing how people feel, because it's still like day 1, day 2, day 3. They don't really know, or players don't really know what's super effective at this point and what's super ineffective and could probably get a buff. But body armor is one of the things in this game that I think really needs something done to it, or something to move the time to kill, just to make it a little bit better in general, just so that body armor doesn't feel as strong. And that's something that I feel pretty strongly about, because I don't know how competitive Call of Duty is going to work in this game, but I feel like people are either going to be running body armor for sniping and longer ranges, and then the stim shot for close range engagements, and I really don't want that. I want to see a variety of stuff. I want to see competitive players using every gun in the game, or pulling out different weapons that they think are going to work better in different scenarios in the game. And if this game is going to be dominated by like 2 or 3 weapons, like it kind of was in Black Ops 3, like there was like 4 or 5 total weapons that people used in competitive out of all the weapons in the game. So this game really needs to work on that time to kill, honing in on getting the guns to work a little bit better, and really hone in on that time to kill. I think that's the biggest thing in this game right now, is that time to kill is just too slow. And I know I've touched on this a lot in this video, and I really don't have to say anymore. I think you guys get the message. But overall, the beta does feel really good, and I'm super excited actually for the full release, and I'm super excited as well for the Blackout beta, which is coming in September, because the multiplayer beta was probably what I was the most nervous about for the game. I think people are going to enjoy Blackout. It looks great so far. I think people are talking really good about zombies, so the multiplayer has been the touchy point, so I'm glad that it's playing really well. Anyways, if you guys enjoyed this video, leave a like, comment, subscribe if you're new, and this has been Quezzy, guys. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.